I do not want you to make this mistake. The difference between Minneapolis and St. Paul: Minneapolis, their streets were designed using a grid system. St. Paul's streets were designed using a bottle of whiskey. I get asked all the time, what are the main differences between these two cities? And while Minneapolis does get all of the love and the attention, there are some things to like about St. Paul. So we're going to be diving into all of those differences in this video, so stick around. You are not going to want to miss this next one. So let's talk about these two cities. Now, Minneapolis and St. Paul are known as the twin cities of the Minneapolis-St. Paul Metro. Our airport is even named Minneapolis-St. Paul because it couldn't decide which one it wanted to be more friends with. So if you're thinking of moving to the Twin Cities and you're like, which one, Minneapolis and St. Paul? Well, this video is for you. They're only about 20 minutes apart, Minneapolis on the west, St. Paul on the east, but they might as well be siblings who are also fraternal siblings because they really are completely different compared to one another. Now, which city is better for you? Well, that depends on what you're looking for, what you like in your lifestyle, and personally what your preferences are. Let's start with the energy. Now, Minneapolis, it is the bigger, bolder twin of the Twin Cities. You've got the nightlife in the North Loop, rooftop patios, tech startups, and a skyline that it keeps getting taller. It doesn't even have to lie on its hinge profile. It's actually pretty tall now. It's where you'll find the trendy coffee shops, the art murals, and people that somehow still will also manage to go around Costco for a jog at 6 a.m. St. Paul, totally different pace. It's older, cozier, and it's got this classic style, but it also kind of feels kind of European. It's got the cobblestone streets on Summit Hill. You've got these historic brownstones, and the cathedral is standing guard watching over downtown St. Paul, which it's able to clock out after 5 because so does everybody else. I mean, St. Paul, it's absolutely a ghost town after 5. It's not trying to be cool, and honestly, I think that's what makes it cool. Now, I'm not trying to dog on St. Paul, but I do want to show you the differences between these two cities. If you're house hunting, you're going to find modern condos and charming buildings in Nokomis, or classic Tudors in the Southwest if you're looking in Minneapolis. Now, St. Paul's housing stock, it's going to be older, but you've got incredible architecture. You've got these Victorian homes and big porches and tree-lined streets. I was running the Twin Cities 10 mile, which runs from downtown Minneapolis all the way to the Capitol in St. Paul. And you run along Summit Avenue and you see these huge Victorian homes. It honestly feels like you're straight out of a movie set. And you do often get those lower price per square foot compared to its sibling in Minneapolis. If you love character and history, you will probably lean St. Paul. Conversely, if you want sleek and modern, then Minneapolis is your place. All right, let's talk food and culture. So we're going to stick with these metaphors. Minneapolis is that foodie friend that's always trying something new, has always got that next best hit that it's got to tell you about in its newsletter. Fusion spots, global flavors, pop-up events, you name it, Minneapolis has it. St. Paul, it's that friend who they know where to find that same breakfast spot, but that breakfast spot delivers time and time again. Think Cafe Astoria, The Nook, or Casetas. True tested establishments that will last the test of time. Now, when it comes to culture and the art scene, that does sway Minneapolis for sure. I mean, Minneapolis, you've got the Guthrie Theater, First Ave, which has started the careers of so many hit musicians, including the King, Prince himself. It's got a thriving art scene. St. Paul has the Minnesota History Center, the Ordway, and every parade and festival and winter carnival that you can imagine. So if you like history, then absolutely St. Paul is going to be more your style, versus if you want the up-and-coming and hit art scene, the concerts too, a lot of those are going to take place more in Minneapolis. All right, so now let's talk about the commute and connectivity. So both of these cities, and by the way, bear with me, I took geography online, true story. The two cities are connected by I-94 and the Green Line light rail. So the traffic can get kind of tricky during rush hour because that's that main artery, right? That's the proper way to say that. Especially if you live in one and work in the other. You're gonna be using one of those main east-west thoroughfares, which can get pretty busy during rush hour. But by the way, if you're used to another metroplex and you're trying to decide what is rush hour here, it's nothing compared to what you're probably used to, assuming you're coming from a major city. I lived in Los Angeles and I was used to rush hour at every hour. Rush hour didn't exist. It was just rush day. Rush hour does happen from 3 to 5, and then depending on if you're on the outskirts of the cities during the summer, you could also get that cabin rush hour as well. Those of you that live in the cities, they know what I'm talking about. If you do want a shorter work commute, this is just a no-brainer. I would definitely live in the city that you're working in because those hours will compound over time, or just get a good podcast or two. I'm happy to help you with the rec. By the way, if you're liking this content, be sure to like the video. I love all of you, and I'm secretly needing all of that validation, so if you wouldn't mind to give this video a like, I would really appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about the parks and lakes. Both cities love their green space, that's for sure. Minneapolis, though, has over 180 parks and lakes, and it's got, again, that famous chain of lakes, which is basically nature and skyline all in one shot, and you'll see a lot of runners do that full chain of lakes route. If you're curious about what that looks like, just search it on Strava. You can find it there. Now, St. Paul shines with the Como Zoo, which is a free zoo. I mean, how can you not like that? If it's free, it's for me. Although if you want to pay admission, I'll gladly stand outside and take your money. Just kidding. It's got Indian Pounds Regional Park and Hidden Falls as well. It's the quieter, more contemplative, maybe even slightly moody and angsty sibling. Okay, so let's talk jobs and lifestyle. So if you work in tech or the creative industries or the corporate worlds, Minneapolis is more likely than not where you'll land. If you're in government or education, healthcare, then St. Paul is home to the state capitol and universities and major hospitals. The lifestyle difference? Well, if you like hustle and networking, then Minneapolis is going to be for you. Otherwise, if you like community and roots and a little bit quieter style of life, then of course St. Paul is going to be more your route. So this is the question, right? Which city wins? Well, it depends. If you want energy and new construction and a skyline lifestyle, well, Minneapolis is absolutely going to be the way you want to go. If you crave charm and community and sort of that timeless beauty, then St. Paul just might surprise you. But the real secret, and locals, they know this, they don't really pick a side, okay? They cross the river for whatever city fits the mood that day. Now, if you're also thinking of sports, right? Both cities do have their own sports teams, and the pro sports separate pretty evenly throughout. So Minneapolis, they have the Twins at Target Field. They have the Timberwolves at Target Center, and of course, our beloved Vikings that give us scoliosis every week, which is your back slowly starting to form a bend as the defeats all come together to form scoliosis. Those are all in Minneapolis. And then on St. Paul's side, you've got the St. Paul Saints for baseball, which is the minor league affiliate for the Minnesota Twins. You've got Allianz Field, which if you haven't been to the Allianz Field and gone to see a Minnesota United game, go see the Loons, go. It is some of the most fun you'll ever have, and especially this is during the summer months, so your other competing option is Minnesota Twins, and until the Pohlads decide to, actually pay the players, you're probably going to have a better experience at Allianz Field, so definitely go. And also it's super affordable. Tickets are really cheap. And then finally, you've got the, I can't even say this correctly, Grand Casino Arena. Yeah, that just never will fit right. It will forever and always be the X, in my opinion, where the Minnesota Wild play. That is also in St. Paul. Now, to the X's credit, see, again, I refuse to call the Grand Casino. By the way, Minnesota is the state of hockey. So you're gonna have these people that are gonna come in and be raging fans, for sure. St. Paul does come alive, especially around the X. You're gonna see a lot of activity, people at restaurants and bars and super excited to watch their favorite hockey team. St. Paul does get pretty lively during hockey games, I will give it that. So how about you? What city do you like? I'm curious to know your thoughts. Drop a comment down below if you have a strong preference either way. Again, I really don't have a preference. I love to dog on St. Paul, but that's just also because I went to high school there. I went to the St. Paul Conservatory, downtown St. Paul. I love St. Paul, but that's also why I like to dog on it a little bit. What are your thoughts? I'm curious to read it. And again, thank you so much for watching. If you like these versus type videos, we did one comparing California versus Minnesota. You can watch that one right here. Otherwise, stick around. We are pumping out videos every week, and I would love to have you here. All right, take it easy. See you in the next one. Bye now.